welcome to Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falvo. On today's show, we'll hear how the pandemic and changing mask mandates are affecting children's stress levels across the state. But first, St. Joseph's Health System offers a full spectrum of comprehensive health care right here in New Jersey. The St. Joseph's Health Foundation is a division set out to raise funds to support the health system's mission and strategic priorities. Joining us now is Robert Boodelman, Vice President and Chief Development Officer for St. Joseph's Health Foundation. Rob, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lisa Marie. It's great to be with you.
So tell our audience all about the wonderful work of the St. Joseph's Health Foundation.
Well, we certainly do a lot of work. We have a great mission, which as you might know, St. Joseph's University Medical Center, originally St. Joseph's Hospital in Paterson, was established 155 years ago by the Sisters of Charity and was Paterson's first hospital. And since then, we've grown to become not just the medical center in Paterson, we have a medical center in Wayne. We also have a children's hospital, state designated children's hospital, and we have a new outpatient facility that we are going to unveil this year in Totowa. So a lot has changed since the sisters founded us, but at the core is our mission, and that is to provide healthcare to the whole community, but with a special emphasis on the most disadvantaged. And our foundation really exists to help that mission, to support that mission, to secure philanthropic support from the surrounding northern New Jersey area and even beyond, to really help those who are most disadvantaged.
And the foundation and all the work and fundraising that you do is so important because you're an independent. A lot of these independent hospitals over the years have been gobbled up by bigger healthcare systems, but you are a standalone.
Yes, we are. I think that comes from that same spirit which the sisters had when they arrived in Paterson, and it's still there today. We are independent, so we really, we rely a lot because we're also known as a safety net hospital, especially St. Joseph's University Medical Center. And so we are either one or two in the state, depending on the year, for charity care that is provided. Again, so any philanthropic funds that we can secure, we invest right back into the organization in both supporting the organization's capital needs, equipment, different programmatic support, education, but also supporting patients who need that, who can't afford support, or who need additional support in order to continue their health care.
So while you are an independent, you do have exciting partnerships. I know you just recently forged one with Hackensack Meridian Health. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, we're super excited about our new clinical affiliation with Hackensack Meridian Health, especially in the area of oncology and rehabilitation medicine as well. We just opened up a rehabilitation center with them up in Wayne at our Wayne Medical Center. And we are going to soon be unveiling this fall our first clinical affiliation with them in the area of oncology. And that'll be a part of our campus, our new campus in Totowa, coming this fall. So we're very excited about that. And we're also going to have an affiliation with them around oncology in Paterson. So we know that through this affiliation with Hackensack Meridian Health, the John Thurr Cancer Center, we're going to be able to take oncology care for patients in northern New Jersey and sort of raise the bar and really make it more accessible. That's what this is about. It's about making oncology care more accessible to the community.
Which is super important. I have gotten to know you and St. Joseph's Health Foundation over the years, working on your Fashion with Compassion event. We're going to touch on that later on, but I know the funds from that marquee event of yours go towards your world-class children's hospital, which I know is undergoing major changes. So tell us all about that.
Yes, so we're very proud of our children's hospital. It was one of the first state designated children's hospitals in New Jersey. It has an incredible reputation. We are very proud of all our programs. In particular, just to name a couple, we have a feeding and swallowing program that is unique in the state and which attracts patients from all over the country and also internationally. We also have a terrific autism program. Our Binder Autism Center works with hundreds of families. It's really a hub for those families that have children with autism, and we provide a myriad of services to these young kids. And again, specialties, over 100 specialists, pediatric specialists, at St. Joseph's Children's Hospital. And we, as you mentioned, Lisa Marie, we are unveiling soon our new Women's and Children's Pavilion. We actually, back in the pandemic, of course, we were limited by the people we can invite in and showcase because of the pandemic. But last year, we actually did a sort of a private, so to speak, unveiling of our new mother-baby unit. So now we have all private suites in our mother-baby unit, beautifully renovated, modern facilities. And we're going to offer the same modern facilities throughout all of our children's hospitals and our women's service line. So it's really a game changer for us. And St. Joseph's has always been at the forefront of providing excellent care, but now we're really going to have the physical space that will match that excellent care.
So obviously, we're coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. I know St. Joseph's Hospital and the surrounding community were hit hard, and I'm sure that made fundraising efforts pretty much impossible for you at points. So tell us how the foundation weathered through that storm.
It was a challenging time. To be honest, like everybody else, we didn't know what was going to happen. I have to say that thankfully, people did, step up. I think we all, everybody around the world, right, became aware of how important our healthcare providers are, our healthcare heroes. And so we were able to raise funds specifically to battle the pandemic. But, other areas perhaps that had been, had focus before kind of, went to the side, rightly so. People's energies were more so on the pandemic and the needs that arose from that. But, now looking forward, thankfully, everything seems to be moving in the right direction. Things are opening up. We're getting back to basics, so to speak.
Well, you said things are starting to come back to normal, and I think the biggest signal of that is that one of your marquee events, which I mentioned earlier, Fashion with Compassion, is coming back after a 2-year hiatus on April 7th at the Rockley Country Club, and it's always so much fun. So tell us all about the event and what spectators can expect.
Well, as you said, it is a fun event. I like to say it's the event to be seen at in northern New Jersey. I have to, at the onset, I have to really acknowledge the work of our two co-chairs, Donna D. Candido and Marianne Puccio, who started this event a number of years ago. And it's just turned into, as I said, the event to be seen at, a lot of fun. Dressed to impress is not an understatement, not an overstatement, right? At a Fashion with Compassion, that. You can find more information at givetostjosephs.org. And you can expect to see everything from, we have a section of the event where it's a marketplace, like we call it. So you arrive early and you start shopping, all these little boutique stores from northern New Jersey. They set up shop and you can sip and shop, have your drink and walk around. And then we're going to have this year, which is going to be new, is we're going to have a number of our pediatric patients walk the runway with their physician. So that's going to be tremendous to see their faces light up. Some of them, they don't normally have this opportunity. And then imagine on top of not normally walking a runway, now we're getting to do this after all of us being, locked up for 2 years. So I think everyone's going to have a really wonderful time doing that. The fashion show portion of the evening, we'll have a silent auction, we'll have a raffle, and then there's just a lot of dancing. We're going to have we have great music, and people will be able to just enjoy different food stations and have a good time. That's what it's really about. It's about coming out, supporting the kids, supporting our children's hospital, and having a good, really great time and enjoying oneself.
I always say that is definitely one of the highlights of the event. The spring event season is Fashion with Compassion because it is such a good time. So we're really excited to be coming back this year. What other events do you have coming up in the pipeline now that things are opening back up?
Oh, well, we're looking forward to doing a lot this year. We have a very successful, last year, we were able to inaugurate for the first time a partnership with the New York, New Jersey NFL Alumni Association. And so this will be the second year. In June, we will have our second golf tournament with them. It's a terrific event. It'll be in Montclair. It sold out last year. We have retired NFL players who come back, and every golf foursome gets a retired NFL player to play in their foursome. And it's great. We love it. We had over 40 retired NFL players play in last year's tournament, and it was really a super event. And then, we're looking forward to the fall. We have another golf outing that we do out at Hamilton Farms, and which is another tremendous event that we have. We have a lot of folks that like to play golf. I think through the pandemic, golf has regained its popularity, and so we're looking forward to that.
Rob, we thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story about what the foundation does and how to support. One more time, give your URL about how our viewers can find out more.
So you can find out more information about the upcoming Fashion with Compassion event by going to givetostjosephs.org, and that is our foundation website. And you'll be able to find out about Fashion with Compassion and all of our upcoming events and whatever information you need to know about us, about the foundation. And also you can link back to St. Joseph's Health as well and learn about the Children's Hospital.
Rob, thank you so much. I will see you April 7th. I'm so excited about that.
Awesome. Look forward to seeing you there, Lisa Marie. Thank you.
Students across New Jersey are back in school without masks and adjusting to a new normal yet again. Many schools are making masks optional, leaving it up to the parents if they want their child to continue wearing them. These changes can cause a lot of stress for kids. Joining us now is Ron Shalwassan, Executive Director of Newark Trust for Education. Ron, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me today. I'm excited about the conversation.
Ron, kids have lived through a pandemic and now they're seeing images of war on TV. It's just an unbelievable timeline that we're living in right now. But how do you help kids process all of this while managing their anxiety?
I think that what we really often don't think about is engaging our young people in these conversations, whether they're 3 or 4 or 7 or 15, but really making time and space for them to ask questions, to hear them, to listen to what they have to say, and to gauge from what they're saying kind of how ready they are to start to think about what types of opportunities they can take advantage of and where you may have to have a little bit more support.
So kids can have a hard time with things that seem small, like they may be the only one in their class still wearing a mask. How do you help a child understand this and work through issues like this?
Sure. I had the opportunity to teach for 10 years and to be a principal for 10 years. And one of the things that we often would talk about in schools was the notion that we're a diverse community, a diverse society. And it really becomes an important part of the conversation to think about what does it mean to be in a diverse society, right? To be able to have different opinions, And what that ultimately means is that you have to create spaces where kids can say what they need to say. They can say that in a safe way, and that means really pushing on respect, helping kids understand that people have those different views and that they could rebut them, they could accept them, but getting to the place where it is about sharing ideas and then having kids develop their abilities to support their stances, right? I think that that's one of the most critical things in education, helping them start to say, well, why do you feel this way? What evidence do you have? Where are you getting this information? And then having them create and understand that they have the capacity to create strong arguments, because at the end of the day, that's where we need our kids to be, right? We need our kids to be participating in a democratic society where they are responsible for looking up information and they have support in creating arguments and supporting those arguments publicly. It's not easy. It's not easy, especially given that right now we are in a really highly charged time where adults themselves are having a difficult time kind of engaging with each other around some of these issues. So normally our kids see modeling that they could follow. And unfortunately right now, there seem to be fewer and fewer examples, at least publicly, not necessarily within their homes, but publicly where that is the case.
You make a great point that if you are the only kid in the class without a mask, it's a good teaching tool for both sides, right? When we think about mental health, people often, for whatever reason, don't think about kids. They think of kids as, oh, they're the most resilient, right, of all humans. But I don't really know if that's so. So how can parents and teachers help kids that are struggling with their mental health?
Yeah, kids are resilient. However, that doesn't mean that they don't struggle. And I think that those are two very separate things. And again, we have to keep those in mind. The statistics right now are quite alarming at the number of kids that are presenting behavioral differences from how they used to behave in the past, kids who are struggling with anxiety. Quite honestly, even the number of kids that are contemplating suicide, it is a very scary time. And so first, I think we really need to, as adults, study what are some of the signs we should be looking for. And there are tremendous guidelines, for example, on the CDC website that really help parents and adults start to identify some of the things around students who might need additional supports. And so that's one thing. As adults, we should be educating ourselves on what these signs are and not just ignoring them. I think the second piece that I would say is really important, I've already alluded to, which is creating time and space for kids to ask questions and to talk, to really, set aside a time every day if you can. I know that for parents who work, sometimes it's really difficult to set that time aside, but we are in these really extraordinary times. And just listening to your child, understanding where those anxieties are, what those questions are, and helping to guide your child through those is an important element. And then, there's some tricks around that too. Storytelling is a wonderful tool, right? To really engage in storytelling. Kids start to kind of talk about issues that they're feeling. Maybe when they're disconnected from themselves, they may not say, I am feeling this. But in a story, you start to get some of those notions and you could start to address that. And then thirdly, there are community resources that are tremendously important and helpful for young people. And those could be very positive resources, opportunities for kids to be with other kids, other peers, so that they could interact. They could remember what it is to be a kid that isn't within their home confines. They could play, they could act, all of those pieces. But then there are other resources which can help families if that child really is going into some deep anxiety. And we have to remember that it is okay, right, to access mental health resources. It is okay to access professional resources if you need them. And so I think some of the communities in which I work, there's some stigma attached with that, right? You keep what is from home at home. You don't talk about it in other places. But for kids going through these extraordinary times, and quite honestly for adults going through these extraordinary times, there are moments when speaking to a professional, really getting guidance, help, from the outside could be the right path to take and the appropriate time to take it. So,
yeah, there's definitely a lot of resources out there. Can you talk about how adults and their behavior inside the home affects kids and their stress levels?
yeah, kids are amazing listeners. I had the opportunity to work with kindergartners for a while, and fifth graders, and they're these little people, and sometimes we forget that they're completely sentient and they hear and they understand. And so I think it is important, one, to remember that they're around all of the time, and that it is about there are conversations that parents need to have to really strategize and help their young people. And those conversations should be between the adults. Having said that, I think sometimes we also try to hide information from kids, which only makes it more ambiguous for them, unknown. And when something's unknown, everything can be possible, right? And kids, we as adults really need to encourage our kids with the true sense of agency that they have, right? From the very beginning, right? What can I as a 3-year-old do? And the minute you have the answers to those questions about what a 3-year-old could do, then that child should be entrusted with doing those things, right? And as a 7-year-old and as a 10-year-old. And so thinking about where that child is developmentally, what they're capable of handling, what's the appropriate language, but then engaging them in the conversation and really promoting the notion that they could do something. So it's not just about telling them these situations exist, right? But it's about engaging them in the problem solving. And they do come up with amazing solutions. And so, for example, if I think about right now, we were speaking about mask wearing, right? So this notion about we can ask our young people, so if there are other people in the classroom who are either wearing masks or not wearing masks, and that's making you uncomfortable, what are 3 things you can do? Like, let's preview this before it happens to you, and before you have to engage in this situation. Let's actually preview it in the home. What are 3 possible things you can do? Well, maybe the child might be able to, maybe I could change my seat and be further away. Maybe I could be by a window. Maybe we could ask the teacher to open the windows, right? There's a problem solving strategy that we could engage young people in that gives them solutions that then they could advocate for on their own behalf. And I think that starts to become something when you could take control of your universe, right? When you can take control, things are better, right? It's the chaos of the universe that makes you anxious and not knowing, right? And so for us, I constantly, with the work that the Newark Trust does with schools, we're constantly thinking about how do we create conditions that put the children, the students, into decision-making positions that we can then support. Rather than something being done to them, let's do it with them. Those kinds of strategies.
Yeah, and it sounds like that you give these kids tools to not be pushovers, right? You're teaching them how to set healthy boundaries, but you're also telling them and giving them the tools to stand up for themselves when necessary in a very healthy way.
That's right. And I think, there will always be discord, right? There will always be differences of opinion. And again, I spoke about having the opportunity to work with kindergartners. I work with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who are at the height, really, of getting to know who they are, right? That's when you start to really think about, who am I? How do others see me? What's the difference between how I see myself and how others see me? And there are tensions there, right? And so we see oftentimes people who don't live and work and are around 12 and 13-year-old, oftentimes they're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? But that's who they are, right? They're questioning those things. And so in working with them, you really develop a sense that they have to be able to resolve conflict on a regular basis, because at least for those 2 or 3 years, they're constantly involved in that. And if they don't do it well then, they're not going to do it well later. And so really setting those beginning building blocks of, can you, and they're very specific strategies, right? Stop and listen.
That's
right?
it.
Before blowing up, stop and listen. Secondly, ask questions, right? Thirdly, figure out where that difference lies and then start to figure out, okay, for the places where we can make some changes, what changes could occur. It's teaching that to them explicitly that I think ultimately pays off for these big extraordinary situations that none of us anticipated, none of us expected.
Ron, you have given such incredible insight into the psyche of a young person, but also amazing tips on how to deal with that psyche. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us. How can people find out more about you?
Sure. So my organization is called the Newark Trust for Education. Our website is www.newarktrust.org. Feel free to jump onto that or onto our Facebook page, which actually definitely shows quite a bit of the work that we're doing and has opportunities for families and other organizations to participate. And that's at the Newark Trust Facebook page.
Ron, thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me on Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falvo. We'll see you back here next week.